Hey, Russell of Hotels going live just for a couple minutes. You guys know how I do it. This is On Air with Russell of Hotels. You know that live hospitality talk show everyone's talking about. Today is Tuesday, December 16th, 2025. Countdown to the end of the year, right? And I guess countdown to New Year 2026. So we're with Jim Sichta, okay? So I can't even hide it, okay, how excited I am to have Jim back on the show after uh a 5 year absence. I can't even believe it's been five. I can't believe I've been doing it over 5 years, but definitely, I was going back and I was telling Jim earlier, I went back and listened to the show that we did 5 years ago. And well, we'll get into the real detail, but it was great. And I could tell I don't know. It seemed like I was better back then than now with doing this show. I don't know. I was seeming a lot calmer, and maybe because I couldn't. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but it seemed a little different. Did you happen to see it too, Jim? Right? Have you seen it
I
recently?
I did, and no, I think you're better. You're definitely better. Yeah. About 250 shows later, you're definitely better.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'll take that. I'll take that. Hey, we're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Yeah, TikTok let me back in, and Instagram. So that's where we're live on all five of those platforms. So if you're on any of those platforms, I think you can make comments on all of them. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. Let me check over here. I see Greg. I see Craig. Yeah, so I see people come. Okay, I see some things. So I have to click over. I don't know what I look like when I click over, but I have to click over and see the Instagram page because it does not show up on this particular thing. So if you're on LinkedIn and if you're on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook, you can definitely leave the comments on here and I can see them in real time and I'll put them on the screen. So just so you know. But yeah, so we're with Jim Sichta with Wrigleyville Management. So now Jim and I, okay, we got history. Okay, we got history together because we worked together back 2010 to 2013. Okay, so he was the COO of Broughton Management. What was it called?
It was
Broughton.
It was Broughton Hospitality at that time, but then went to Broughton
Okay.
Hotels later. Yep.
Okay. Broughton Management or Broughton Hotel. Let's just say Broughton Hotel. Let's just say that. So and Jim and I always like to tell this story. Okay, I always like to tell
Here it
this
comes.
story.
Here it comes.
Jim, in fact, I put it on because when I have a guest on, I always want to promote the show, and I put it in the notes that Jim was the reason that I became a general manager. I'm gonna leave it at that for a second, but yeah. So I didn't, but a lot of people know because I've told the story. I really was not. I really didn't want to be a general manager. Okay, but Jim comes to me. I have to tell a story. So Jim comes to me one day and says, "Hey, something wasn't working out with the previous general manager or whatever." And he said, "Well, we thought about you, or I thought about you for taking over." I'm like, "Well, I don't, why?" And he said, "Well, everyone likes you." So they throw all this, honey and all this stuff on you, right? Like, oh, everyone likes you, and it just be an easy transition and this and that. So I drank the Kool-Aid. Okay. So I drank the Kool-Aid. And even if I can say this now, even if it wasn't the best, I didn't think it was the best move for me. You still learn a lot, right? So I just thank you for seeing something in me that maybe I didn't see in myself, right? So it's all about the experience, right? So and if I didn't have that experience, I don't think I could have been Russell of Hotels, to be honest with you, because I wouldn't know that aspect of it, which was a very important aspect of my hospitality journey, right? Being a general manager, ultimately the top person in that particular hotel. So I do appreciate it. I know I joke about it all the time, you with the gun and all that, and that still frightens me, you with that gun over my head saying you're gonna take this position whether you like it or not. So, but no, I do appreciate it.
Well, I have to say two things, right? So one, you're absolutely right. Everybody at the hotel loved you, right? And so, to lead a group of people and to get them to work for you, it's really important to have the respect and the love for somebody. That was really important. Second, you were one of the best salespeople that I ever worked with, right? So who would you want as the face of your hotel than a great salesperson and a leader where all their staff loves them, right? And plus giving you the opportunity to learn more and move along in your hotel career, right? So at the time, I truly believed it was an opportunity that you said you didn't want, but I think you did want, and if you tried it, I think you would see the progression and where it would take you. But so, like you said, it was an experience for all.
Yes.
And we learn from experiences, right? So
yeah, no, we do. We do. So I do
and the
think
salary was a little better.
Yeah, but that's one thing. Okay, it was, but that's one thing that I learned too. Money
ain't everything. No. Amen to that. Yeah, that's right. Money's not everything.
Oh my God, but that was fun. It was fun. It was an experience, and like I said, once you have that experience, you can't take that away. I can always talk about it. I can always relive it, and I can always give advice on different things. So, and like I said, I couldn't do that until I got that one component. So there you go. So anyway, let's jump into this, and I'm gonna read Jim's bio so we can get into this. I actually wrote some questions. I normally don't when I know somebody, I actually never write questions, but today I wrote some specific questions for Jim today. So, but he knows nothing about the questions, just so you guys know, because I don't let anyone know about the questions.
I don't know. It's like Jeopardy. I don't know any of the questions.
Yes. Okay. So a hospitality leader with over 40 years of experience, Jim has worked with major hotel brands, including IHG, Hilton, Best Western, Choice Hotels, and Princess Hotels, and has held senior roles such as VP of Operations for Charlestown Hotels and COO partner at Broughton Hotels. An honors graduate of the Echoes International Hotel School in Chicago, his background spans every hotel position from boutique assets to full-service resorts. Now specializing in asset management and consulting as CEO of Wrigleyville Management. He serves as liaison between owners and management companies while still enjoying his passion of mentoring emerging professionals, as well as contributing as a travel and hospitality writer. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I've done some articles and clips and for various people, and from time to time I get asked. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
My Instagram handle is actually Informer, so that's kind of my pen name. Informer, Informer. So
okay. So that ties into the magazine that Broughton used to have. It was called The Informer.
That's how it started. Yeah. So and if you remember, I did an article every month in that.
Yes.
So got that kind of carried over, and then on Instagram I do little clips on interesting travel locations and travel tips and those types of things. And then if I get asked, I do little clips and things for various people.
Okay.
In my spare time.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you this one question that's not even on any of the questions that I have.
Sure.
You had retired at 45
Yep.
and came back. Now, is this okay? You retired and came back. Now, have you retired again, or has it been since you've been back? You've been back. You haven't stopped.
I'm pretty much what I call semi-retired now. I do what I do now to keep me busy, and my partner Robert Rycroft, who
Mm-hmm.
We have enough clients that keeps us busy, but we don't want to get too big.
Okay.
But it keeps, as you know, in this industry, you get several friends and contacts over the years, and we keep getting phone calls. So it's fun to stay involved.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not the 9 to 5 and all of that stress that I had during my whole career, which as you know, running a hotel company is a lot of work.
Yes.
So relaxing more now, of course. Yeah.
Okay, good to hear. Because when people say, "Oh, I'm a road warrior" or something like that, I mean, I don't think they really know what that means. But I know someone who does know what that means, and that's you, because you would drive. Because of course you had a lot of hotels in California at that time, and you would drive from one end of California, basically from one end to the other. But I remember having conversations with general managers, people that work within hotels. They're like, we can always count on Jim. Jim's going to be here, and if he has to be here a couple of days, he's going to be here just to make sure things are going well. Where'd that come from? Where'd that kind of drive come from? I mean, literally and figuratively. Where'd that kind of
really it came? A lot of it came from my grandfather and my father. My father owned a liquor store. That's what he did. And he worked 7 days a week. The employees, the customers always came first. If we didn't get an allowance and we had to pay for everything. Now, we could work for it, but we had to pay for it. So if I needed a new pair of sneakers, I had to pay for them. But I could always work to make money, doing chores around the house or working at the store. So that carried over into my career. I had, just a really good work ethic. And my thing was I was always concerned about the team members and the employees that worked under me because I knew what they're going through because I worked at all of that.
Okay.
So if they were in a bad spot, I'm going to do what I can. I would always answer the phone. If it was a room attendant, a front desk host, the general manager, whoever called me on my cell, I'd pick up the phone, even as the chief operating officer of a management company. And probably one of the negative things is that I was somebody that would never say no. I always say yes, even if it was an inconvenience or I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to let other people down. That was my, everybody else comes first.
Okay. Oh yeah. I can definitely see that because, like I said, he would pop up. I mean, we would know when he was coming, for the most part. But yeah, he would always drive, and if he had to be there for a couple of days, well, then he'd be there for a couple of days to make sure because at that particular hotel, it was a union hotel. Now, anybody that knows union hotels, there's things that happen all the time, and you have to be, on hand to have these, what do they call it? The meetings, the
stand-ups?
No. The union meetings.
The union, the union meetings. Yeah.
When the union had what do they call them when they have a
grievance
or a grievance? There you go, grievance. Yeah, when they have a grievance, Jim wanted to be there for some of these grievances. So, and I appreciate that because I think you're there. My first one, I think I called and say, hey, I have this, grievance coming up or whatever. And Jim actually came down there to hold my hand to make sure I understood what was going on because believe me, union versus non-union is a whole new ball of wax, if you will.
Yep.
So just being there and helping me go through it and kind of navigate that was important. So no, I brought that up because I just remember that, first of all, you being this road warrior. And everybody said the same thing. Other general managers said the same thing, like, oh yeah, Jim, he'll be here tomorrow and he's gonna stay for a couple of days and we need help with this, we need help with that, and he's just overseeing everything that we do. So, yeah, everybody appreciated that. Everyone appreciated you, Jim.
Yeah, and as you said in my bio, my big thing, my whole career is seeing team member development and seeing people progress and get better. That's what gets me excited in hospitality, and unfortunately, a lot of that's gone today. I call myself old school in hospitality, but seeing people's faces light up when you can solve a problem for them or you support them and they achieve something, that was the payoff for me. More than money, title, none of that made any matter to me. A lot of people in an interview, I always say, well, if you ask me what your title is going to be or what you're going to make, I'm not going to hire you because those things shouldn't be important. Right. Wow. That should come after you get your offer. What can you do for me? What can you do for my team members? What can you do for my business?
Exactly. I like that. Okay. So last time you were on the show was right before COVID, right? It was the COVID had happened. COVID had happened and things had shut down. You were still in Orange County because you drove. I listened to it and you drove from
45 minutes.
45 minutes. You got 45 minutes from, was it Huntington Beach?
From Dana Point.
Damn, that's even further. From Dana Point to Sherman Oaks, right? Because that's where my studio was at that time.
That's right.
Yeah, he said he got there in 45 minutes. I said, well, that's where everybody should come to LA at that time because there was no traffic at all. But yeah, so Jim came in and we did the show because back then guests were coming to the studio to do the show. So Jim actually came in, and okay, so the question is, the last time you're on my show was March 17th, 2020. Literally the week the hospitality industry shut down. Well, not just the hospitality industry, the world shut down. Looking back, how would you describe the biggest change you've seen in hospitality industry since that moment?
I think the biggest change is the focus really changed to the profitability of hotels and how we can trim everything down, and how we can better be prepared should something like that happen in the future. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of hotels got away from focusing on service, focusing on reputation, focusing on renovations, focusing on amenities, guest experience, all of that. That kind of went out the window. It's what can we now take away from the guest? And probably in the industry, 40 to 60% of the continental breakfasts, in non-branded hotels, all went away,
Yeah.
never came back.
Mm.
Servicing of rooms went to every other day, every third day, twice a week. That hasn't come back 100%.
No.
All of the remote check-ins now, checking in with yourself, getting your key on your cell phone, checking in before you get there. Any way we can shrink the team members, lessen the guest contact, that's been the biggest effect from that, because people had to recover quickly, still had mortgages to pay.
Yes.
And once they realized, hey, this saves us a lot of money, well, we're not going to go back to that. Then pile on, like, Las Vegas, we can do, because it's in the news all the time. Let's add on resort fees. Let's bump up the parking, all the ancillary fees. And I think that's, I was saying before, that's where we get away from the old school hospitality. So
Yes.
whenever I'm staying at hotels, I like to stay at hotels that still,
They still offer
embrace
those
that.
things. Yeah. Yeah.
As
Yeah.
a salesperson, face to face, very important.
Yes.
I'm not a big fan of, all this remote everything, right? And let's not see the guest as minimal as possible during their stay, and let's service them the least.
Yeah. That you're absolutely right. You're absolutely.
But that's been the biggest change, I think.
Okay.
They took away a lot because they had to, but they didn't bring it back. And now we're way behind the scale to continue to make improvements.
Okay. Now, do you think hotels are doing better because of that? Meaning better, more business, or?
No. I think it's a double-edged sword, because you would think you'd be more profitable, but you're really not, because now there's so much more guest movement these days. We see loyalty is a really tough proposal these days, right? And you'll see that with more aggressive credit card point systems. It's really tough to get that guest back, and now they're spending more money to recapture guests than they did in the past, when loyal guests. I think I read an article where the average return rate from guests that have stayed at a hotel used to be around 72%. Now it's down to like 58, 56%.
Wow.
People want to go try other options rather than focus and have loyalty to that one hotel. I mean, I remember my career, we used to have guests that come every year, right? But that's changed, because they've taken things away from those people. Things that they're used to, people that they're used to seeing, they take that away.
Yeah.
Staffing levels too. That's, used to have 2 people working during a busy night at the front desk. Now you have 1.
Yes.
Used to have bell service. Now you have bell combined with valet. It's just,
Do you think it will ever get back to post or pre-COVID days?
On mid-scale economy, I don't think so. Now on the other side, the luxury side of the business is doing extremely well.
Okay.
They're doing very well in the market, both financially and both, maintaining service levels and that, and they're pulling some of that business from the mid-scale economy, but obviously everybody can't afford luxury all the time, right?
Yes.
And there's a lot more competition in those 2 scales than in the luxury market, but the luxury is doing well and progressing where they should, but I think the mid-scale and the limited service are suffering a little bit.
Okay, and those are the newer hotels that are coming online are that the mid scale
Yeah.
and the like the select service or limited service hotels from what I see. Is that
And
true?
then you live in Los Angeles, so things, like the, the new wage ordinance there,
Oh yeah.
where, minimum wage is now mandated to go to $32 an hour by the Olympics, the Summer Olympics in 2028. And, mandatory insurance, I think, is now $1,200 for next July. It'll be $1,200 per employee. That means that a typical room attendant at a limited service hotel is, making roughly $80,000 a year with benefits, which is kind of unheard of. And you can imagine small mom and pop or small limited service mid-scale, it's really tough for them
Yes.
financially. So what do they have to do? They need to go again, we're going to service your room every 4 days. We're going to take away amenities, because to keep our doors open and pay our mortgage and property taxes and pay that kind of minimum wage, that's what we have to do. So
Wow.
although the city thinks they're doing a good thing for the people, and I certainly support getting a living wage. I know how expensive it is in Los Angeles, but at the same time, we've got to find a way to keep, the travel industry in business. We don't want to see hotels going out of business.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. It's funny how now when I travel, I'm excited. I don't ask anymore, and I guess I just want to be surprised when I walk into the room to see, or once I've stayed there a couple of days or at least one day and come back and the bed has been made up. Because no, for a long time, it was never like that. I think they put like if you're there for 3 or 4 days, then they'll clean your room. But if you're just there maybe 2 days, they won't clean it until you check out. But my last day, but it was in another state as well. I think I want to say it was Tennessee. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. And it's crazy how now I'm surprised about it. Before it was commonplace, and now you don't know what you're getting. It's like rolling the dice. What am I going to get when I check in? Are they going to clean my room every day or not? And yeah, they did. I was just so happy just to come in and the room had been cleaned and trash had been taken out. I'm like, wow, it's crazy the way that we have to think now. So yeah, but
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I'm finding too is, that the hospitality business used to be career business for people. There were career room attendants, people that wanted to be executive housekeepers and took pride in doing their job in that.
yeah,
Now it's very difficult to find that level of team member. It's very difficult to hire room attendants because of the wage issues, right?
okay,
So, you get rotational turnover there, and again, then your hotel is suffering. So, these city mandates and the climate of the hotel industry is all working against each other, and we've got to find a way to navigate to get back to where we were, in the early 2000s.
Okay, I got you. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna jump from that into let me ask this. Since then, we've seen major shifts in ownership strategy, operations, and performance expectations. From your perspective, which changes do you believe are permanent, and which ones are still evolving?
Which changes are permanent? I think I mentioned what's permanent is all of the efficiencies that you can create in an operation. Um, before the COVID happened, there was a lot of discussion on how can we improve our product, how can we improve our service along with our bottom line. Now it's almost 100%. How do we improve the bottom line with no focus on those other things? And that's what had to happen after the COVID started, and that's continued and has not changed. Very similar to people working at home. Companies found that, well, if people are working at home, we're saving a lot of overhead money, right? And it never got back to where it was before, where people are going to the office. Still, the majority of people are working at home. That hasn't changed. What has changed now is people, or I see in hotels, are being more proactive and preparing for something like this to happen again, protecting themselves.
Okay.
Right. So because as we talked about in that show 5 years ago, it was an unknown to everybody. What are we going to do? What's going to happen? So I think those are the two biggest shifts.
Okay. Okay. Wow. All right. Well, hopefully it continues to get better. I mean, it has gotten better, but just the whole remote thing. Excuse me. So the whole remote thing has kind of, especially when it comes to salespeople. Okay, and some companies have adopted this thing where um, they're more, I guess they call it reactive sales and proactive sales. The proactive salespeople, they're still on property. The ones that are reactive, they just somewhere, some undisclosed location, they're just picking up the phone and answering questions as if they're there on property, but they're not there. So if you're talking to those people, you're building this relationship, and then when you want to go, okay, I want to come see your hotel, I want to do a site tour. Now they have to turn you over to someone else. Those are things that me as I guess a meeting professional, that if there's something that ticks me off, that's one of those things, because you're like I said, sales is all about relationship building,
Mhm.
right? And then but I mean, part of it I understand, but part of it I don't, and it doesn't seem like sometimes it doesn't seem like we're ever going to get back there where, and I don't think we are, meaning all the salespeople are going to be back on property. No, because Marriott's come up with this thing where no, they don't do that. So that, like I said, they come up with the proactive versus reactive sales, and those reactive salespeople, that's all they do. They're just calling all, I guess, dialing for dollars all day long, right? And so you'll never ever see those people. So I mean, I just think the relationship. I think we've gotten away from what sales really is, and that's
Mhm.
building relationships and you know yeah, and knowing who you're doing business with. I think we're getting away from that, and hopefully the other hotel chains don't do the same thing. But I mean, it is what it is, and I mean, I still have to operate because my clients still want they want what they want, right? So however we respond, or however I find the hotels for them, is like, hey, well, you just do that. It's your job to do that. Just present them to me, right? But one thing that another thing that I've noticed during this whole thing in the last couple of years is that some management companies, they're slow to respond to anything. And what I mean by that, if there's issues with, okay, I'll just use this as an example because this actually did happen. I had an issue with one of my groups. It happened to be in Arizona. And the client is, letting them know what's going on, showing them what's going on. They're seeing it for themselves, what's going on. I don't want to go into detail as to what they saw or what they witnessed, but let's just say the whole group saw what was going on. And so you explain this to the convention services person, and then it escalates to maybe the director of sales, but it stops there. It doesn't go any further. It doesn't get they don't get the GM involved in this. And the GM, I called personally to see if he would, to just to ask him questions and make sure he was aware of this. He never even called me back. And this is over a year and a half ago. So I have yet to hear from this general manager, right? And then from there, I escalated to, and this is a popular, very popular management company. Okay. One of the biggest, if not the biggest probably in the world. Right. So I contacted their corporate office, never heard from them as well. So they really kind of turned a blind eye to it. So I'm seeing more of that kind of thing, since, and I don't know if it's since COVID, but I can only have that as a reference, right? So I'm going to use it as since COVID, this is what's going on. And, clients are seeing this, they're hearing about this, and we're like, well, what's the state of the industry if we're not, if we're not being hospitable towards our guests or clients?
Yeah, a part of that is what we talked about with the understaffing and cutting back in areas because when COVID happened and that continued. But
Mhm.
second, what you're explaining, there's no excuse for.
Yes.
Um, and going back to what we said at the beginning of the show, that's one of the reasons that like I would make myself so available.
Mm.
So if that kind of problem came up, as you know, there's people in this industry that are afraid to address that. Who knows what, I don't know the group you're referring to or the hotel, but it could be a group that maybe books several hotels in this brand or has been there several times.
Mhm.
They know the reputation of this client and they're just afraid to respond to them or don't know what to say, or they're afraid if they say something that's going to result in a big credit back or some other kind of issue, right? Instead of just addressing it head on. I always say, accepting responsibility. That's the first thing that you have to do. Accept the responsibility. Obviously, you saw something go wrong. Something went wrong. That's why you brought it to our attention.
Exactly.
Now, how do we fix it? I always say problems are always going to happen, right? The good people and the places I want to stay or the hotels that I would stay or choose are the ones that handle the problems and fix them to my satisfaction.
Yes. That is so true. That is.
But in your scenario, you just said I would never go back because if they're not calling me back, they're not calling my meeting planner back. That's just unacceptable. And I can't imagine any situation that's so bad that you wouldn't want to warrant a phone call, because with today's online accessibility for reputation,
yes,
it can spread like wildfire, and then that can just kill you. One comment that's so negative could shoot me 10 groups this year I could lose because of it. And why would I want that? Yeah,
you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. So So it's, I guess it'll never be resolved, this one particular issue, but okay, that's fine. We'll never go back to that hotel. I don't even talk about it. I don't even want to mention the hotel's name or anything. So, but anyway, okay.
I just had one quick clip because of, I know you're great at sales and you always like to give these little hints and tips. One mantra I've always carried with me is remote salespeople always think that it's a client's privilege to book their group at my hotel. Right. And instead of me looking at it's my privilege to have you at my hotel.
Yeah.
That's the big difference, because when you're working remotely, you saw our pretty pictures. We're the best hotel in the world. We got the best food. You should stay at our hotel.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Let me show you, what are your needs? What do you anticipate? How can we make your meeting better? Let me walk you through the hotel. Right. Just like you said before. And that's where salespeople are just dialing for dollars, and they just expect people, because my hotel has some great reputation, or we were the number 5 sales in the world, or number 2 on TripAdvisor and TNA.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think there's some companies out there, the bigger they get, the less they think they have to deal with things like that, because what other option do they have? I mean, when you get so big, you have the attitude like, well, what other option do they have? I mean, we own that whole city for the most part. We're on every corner. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I hate to say that, but it seems like that sometimes. It does seem like that.
It makes me cringe. I've heard it so many times. Well, there's 10 groups behind them.
Yes.
If they don't want to stay here, or we're having this much trouble, drop it. Don't go after the business. Move on to the next one.
Yes.
And I would fight tooth and nail with salespeople and say, no, that's not the. We're going to fight to get this group, and we're going to go after those 10 that are behind them.
Exactly.
But we're not just going to shove these to the side because we have a little road, a speed bump.
Yeah. It's easier not to get into confrontation, if you will. Let's just don't do it, and let's just let them go. Don't even worry about it. I don't like that either. That's not leadership. I mean, we're getting away from the leadership aspect of kind of why we got in this industry. You know what I mean? So,
as a salesperson, once you got that person on the phone or you're talking to them, there is some percentage of interest on that client to want to stay at your hotel.
Yeah.
Or they wouldn't have called, or they wouldn't have
called.
They wouldn't have taken an appointment. So it's your job to close.
Exactly.
And if you want to learn how to close, watch the movie Boiler Room. If you've never seen it,
yes,
watch the movie Boiler Room. They'll teach you how to close.
Oh man. Okay. I got another question for you. Okay. Since you were on last, I think probably I talked to you maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think I knew that you had started your own company. And we started this whole conversation today about, you talking about retirement, and I mean, you had retired and come out of retirement, and you said that you're not, you don't want to work too hard. I understand that, because I know where you come from, right? Mm-hmm. But you did start a company called Wrigleyville Management. Okay.
That's
so kind of explain what that is. First of all, let's talk about the name first. How'd you come up with that name?
Well, Wrigleyville. So I'm originally born and raised in Chicago, and as you know, the Cubs. I'm a big Cubs fan, and they're in Wrigleyville, and 3 of our clients are in Wrigleyville.
Gotcha.
And my partner, Robert Rycroft, who was also a Cubs fan, when we were sitting down to figure out, well, what are we going to call this company that we're going to have? And, you go through all the names and everything. And we said, well, hey, Wrigleyville, it's got a nice ring to it. Everybody knows Wrigleyville. It's in a primary market. So we have our company, the business is actually in Chicago. So we called it Wrigleyville Management. And everybody knows it then, and that's good. And it strikes up conversation too. They want to know if we're working with the Cubs or we deal with the Cubs. But when the whole COVID thing started, Broughton Hotel started to decline the portfolio. And, I was Larry's partner at the time, Larry Broughton, who and we had to make some tough decisions, on the company, obviously, because it was really a tough time, not only for us, but for a lot of people. But it was at that time in April of 2020 when Robert and I decided to start our own company, because I have over 40 years of operational experience. He has 40 years of financial experience. And you probably didn't know them, but we had a hotel, the Georgian in Santa Monica, and they had a team there that were asset managers. And Robert and I, even while we were working with Broughton, said, boy, what a good gig to have. It seems like a really good gig years ago, right? And so then Ted and Howard were their names. And so then we started the company, and we now have clients in California and Chicago, Florida.
Wow.
It's been very beneficial. And again, you talked about our work ethic, our approachable nature. Robert, he's easygoing as well.
Yes.
And just the ownership and the management companies find it very good to work with us. And it's been really successful for us.
Wow. Well, now I have to ask this question because everybody doesn't know. Yep. Okay. What's the primary function of an asset management company?
Well, the primary function is, believe it or not, most people might not know that people that buy hotels have no idea what a hotel is. All they've done is made a reservation and slept in a hotel. They buy it either for investments or because their friends own hotels, right? Now, there are several owners of hotels that know the business intimately, but a lot don't. So what do? They hire a management company. Like when I worked with Charlestown or Broughton Hotels to run my company. The problem with that is you hire somebody to run your company, but who's going to watch the management company? Or when you have discussions with the management company, you don't understand the lingo that they're saying. You don't understand what they're doing. So what do? I hire an asset manager who is in the middle. So we hold both the ownership accountable and we hold the management company accountable. And the management company is not going to put anything past us because we have the experience. It's unfortunate, there's a lot of great management companies out there, but there's some that aren't so good and try to pull the wool over the owner's eyes because they don't know any better. That's unfortunate, right? And so with an asset manager, that doesn't happen. If an owner has a question, without an asset manager, they could ask the management company, they wouldn't understand the answer. Now they can ask us the question and we can explain to them exactly, especially, with all today's acronyms, right? It's much different than when we started in the hospitality. You got, the POS, the PMS, the CRM, OTAs, right? Meta search, Google Analytics. Owners don't know they don't understand all of that.
Yeah.
So we decipher those numbers and we offer the advice on what they should do, the communication they should have with the management company, and then the business can become very successful. And 4 of our clients in Chicago, we brought on Charlestown Hotels.
Okay.
And what worked beautiful there is because I was the vice president of operations with Charlestown Hotels for 3 years, I understood how that whole company operates. And I also understand how the ownerships operate 100%. So it makes the whole transition and the whole thing just work beautifully.
Okay.
And then you can be very successful when you don't have to focus on minutia and you can focus on growth, improvement. Then things become a lot easier.
Okay. So you work kind of hand in hand with the general managers as well? Do they come to you? Like you're like a consultant before they go to the ownership? How does that work?
Yep. So that's another good thing with because you were a general manager. Sometimes the general manager will have an idea, or there's some very important data that needs to be communicated, and they don't know how to communicate it to the ownership. They don't know the temperature of the ownership. So they can send me a document or call me up on the phone and say, hey, I want to run this by you. What do you think before we have our meeting with ownership? Right. So I can prepare them. Right. So then there's not this big surprise at a meeting or a surprise in a discussion when then there gets contentious discussions. It goes a lot smoother that way.
Okay.
And I try to make it where ownership doesn't contact the hotels directly and the hotels don't contact ownership directly. They run everything through us. So that we can filter everything, and then we're aware of everything.
Okay.
Last thing you want to do is have a hotel calling the owners directly and you don't know about it. And then the owners call me and say, hey, what's up with this? And I don't know about it. That's a big problem.
Okay. So how many hotels do you have that you asset manage?
Currently we have 7.
7. Yeah. That's plenty. That's plenty for two, you and Robert.
It keeps us busy, and we have 4.
You still have a life.
I still have a life. Yeah, we have 4 with one owner, and then the others are individual owners. Yeah.
Wow. So I would assume that with every different owner, there's a different personality, different needs, wants. You kind of have to know, the ins and outs or the intricacies of those people, I would say.
That's right. And, again, that's why we don't want to get huge and just take anybody. So we pick who we want to work with and we have good relationships with, and they have full trust in us. That's, really important. A lot of times in my career, I wanted to speak up and say something because of my experience that I knew was right, but I had to keep my mouth shut. Now the position I'm in, if the owner's saying something wrong or making a wrong decision, I flat out tell them, we're not going to do this. We can't do this. And this is why we're not going to do this.
Okay.
And they've built that trust now that they accept that, which is really nice for me because I never had that, especially when a management company, Charlestown Hotel, we had, 45 hotels at the time, and you're dealing with all those different owners. It was really tough juggling all of that, all those different views, different attitudes, different perspectives.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I can only imagine. Now, as far as like budgets and things like that, are you involved in the budgets too?
Yep. So we get the budgets and then we review. I mean, the management company does the budget.
Okay.
But Robert and I review the budget and we give all our opinions, right? And say, before it goes to the ownership, because we already know what the ownership is going to say or want. But we give our advice and, what should be adjusted and how you should change your assumptions so it's clear. Maybe some things we should add or subtract because this is what they're looking for.
Okay.
And then it's great for the management company because all the experience that Robert and I have, we've done thousands and thousands of budgets. They know that we'll not only find mistakes, but the feedback we give them is valuable and they use it. And again, we're the type of people, call us 20, 30, 40 times while you're doing the budget, ask a question.
Yes.
If I'm watching my Chicago Bears, on Sunday and somebody wants to call and ask me a question, I put the TV on hold and I pick the phone up. It drives my wife nuts sometimes because I immediately pick the phone up all the time. So I can wait. I can call him back.
That does not surprise me, Jim. That does not surprise me. And Chicago's on a roll this year, so you have to.
Roll.
Yeah. You go to any games? Yeah, we do. Not this year. We did go to a Northwestern Michigan game at Wrigley Field. Northwestern played 2 games at Wrigley Field this year, so Robert and I went to one of those. Okay.
But didn't go to a Bears game this year. No.
Okay. So how many times do you meet with your hotels? Is it once a month, once a quarter? I mean, meaning you go in physically, or is it everything through Zoom calls?
So usually it's probably twice a year physically.
Okay.
Every week though, we have scheduled meetings every week with the hotels and ownership.
Okay.
And then once a month, everybody.
Okay. Very good. All right. Okay. This sounds good. This sounds good. And you don't want any more hotels, you said, right?
No. Well, if there's somebody out there that needs an asset manager, You can call. You can give me a call. I will certainly entertain it. I don't want to turn away opportunities.
Okay, all right. I'm just making sure because I will put your email and yours is the Jim Sichta at gmail.com.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. I'm gonna put that up just to make sure that because I wanted to ask first before I did because I don't want you being bombarded with a bunch of
Well, what's
emails.
interesting is that now that you brought that up, and I'm glad you did. Not only we look for other asset management clients, but we also do assessments of hotels. So, if a hotel wants to kind of get a state of the union, we can go in there and audit their financials, audit their operations, and kind of give them a report card on where they're missing the boat or opportunities.
Okay.
Scheduling secret shoppers, that's another thing that we can do. If you have an area in your hotel that you need secret shop, we can address that. Or just a simple project or budget or something you want reviewed. No project is too small or too big. Some client wants to say, hey, can you look at our budget and let us know what you think? We'll look at it and tell you what we think.
Okay. See, that's good. And you can't see it, but your logo's been over your head this whole show.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
When I had it designed, everybody said it looked a lot like the W hotels, but I liked it anyway, so I kept it. So.
Yeah, no, I like it. It works. So we had a couple comments that I didn't read yet, and they're pretty lengthy. So let me read this. This is from Jana Devine. Jana says, effective management takes responsibility and views negative feedback. Wait. Effective management takes responsibility and views negative feedback not as a criticism, but as a valuable training and growth opportunity. Our guests should be regarded with the same level of respect and importance as our vendors and strategic partners, as they are integral to the success of any organization. Challenges tend to escalate when they are ignored. However, when leadership addresses issues directly and acknowledges what did not go as planned, it demonstrates strength, accountability, and humanity. Mistakes are a natural part of any business. Yes, they are, but it takes courage and integrity to stand in them, learn from them, and improve. This level of transparency not only fosters trust internally, but also significantly enhances the credibility and reputation of the company. Embracing feedback and accountability ultimately leads to stronger relationships, better performance, and long-term success. Oh my God, she wrote a book. No, but thank you, Jana. It's well said.
Very well said.
Definitely well said. And there's one more. True hospitality is rooted in kindness. Wait, is this the same thing? Wait a minute. No. True hospitality is rooted in kindness and genuine human connection. While beautiful design elements such as chandeliers and imported marble can enhance an environment, they are not what defines hospitality at its core. Say that again, Jana. What truly makes people feel welcome and valued is the human aspect, the way guests are treated, acknowledged, and cared for. Authentic hospitality is about presence, empathy, and creating a sense of belonging that goes far beyond aesthetics. Man,
if those two people aren't in hospitality leadership roles, they absolutely should get in them quickly.
Yes, it's both of them are coming from one person, and she does a lot of training for specifically for she does hotel training, anyone in the guest service, but a lot of restaurant, like floor servers and the managers and supervisors, and making sure they're doing everything they can to not just take care of the guest that's there, but make sure they're welcome back. You know what I mean? So no, Jana and I, we get together every now and then. In fact, we have not got together and talked, and we go to lunch she's out in Long Beach, and we haven't done that in a while, but we definitely have to do that. So thank you, Jana Devine, for your comments. They are well received. Let me just make sure. Can I put those on the screen? Let's see. It'd probably cover up everything if I put them on the screen. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, there you go. Okay, that looks good. So I just want to put those comments on the screen real quick. And let's see. Let me see. Do I have maybe another question for Mr. Jim? Let's see. Asset manager. Well, we've already talked about that. So okay, what are your what are Wrigleyville Management's long term goals? I mean, are you going to be doing this for a while, or how am I putting you on the spot? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, though.
No, I think, I'm a hospitality guy. You know that, right? So even though you retire, it's hard to kind of separate from that. And I still, because I have a love for the old school hospitality, I want to hang on to some of that. And if I can impact some of that, and like I said, see people grow, I want to continue to do that.
Good.
Like you said, the road warrior part, I don't want to be traveling 200 days a year and driving 400 miles a day and
Wow.
18-hour days and, answering calls at 3:00 in the morning about floods in the hotel. I mean, that's a lot when you're responsible for all of that. Right.
Yes.
It's better now when other people are responsible for everything and I can give advice from all of my experience to make their assets better. And like I said, the personnel growth is really my satisfaction.
So it seems like that's the best of both worlds for you, being the asset manager.
Yeah. I mean, if I could have done this 35 years ago, I probably would have done it. But the problem is I wouldn't have had all the experience to do it. So,
okay.
And a lot of people try to do it now, competitors, and they fail miserably because they don't have the experience.
Gotcha. Wow. Gotcha. Now, are these hotels that you have, are they the 7? Are they virtually the same size? Are they bigger? Some are bigger, large boxes, small boxes, boutiques.
They're all pretty well. There's one really small one in Florida, which is 18 rooms, but everything else is in the 55 to 65 range. Yeah, okay. So they're and all independents. I mean, that's my background is independent. I mean, I've worked a lot of branded properties, but my love was in the sector of a boutique and independent properties.
Okay.
Most of what Charlestown is, most of what Broughton was.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
I like the flexibility. I don't like to be dictated, by a brand. A lot of brands do very well, and there's a reason they have all of that structure.
Yes.
But I don't know what the current data is now, but of the whole hotel landscape, about 3 or 4% is actually boutique, but actually 8 to 9 to 10% of the revenue comes from boutiques, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Did not know that. Okay. All right. Well, we're winding down here with Mr. Jim Sichta. Your email is on the screen right now, Wrigleyville Management. So if you have any questions at all, not necessarily, they have to manage your asset, your hotel asset, but if you just need a report card of how your hotel is doing and maybe how it can improve, they do that as well. And I don't know a lot of and I'm not in that, I guess in that realm of asset management, but is that something that asset management companies typically offer, or is that something that's unique to what you're doing, you and Robert are doing?
They typically offer it, although in packages. Some won't get down to such a minute little project, but
okay.
Yeah, most of them will do that.
Okay.
And I'll throw it out, if you're a friend of the show and you want to run something by me or ask a question, feel free to. I'm happy to help out anybody that is a friend of Russell. Friend of Russell, friend of mine. I love talking to new hospitality people.
I appreciate that.
If I had the know-how or the time to do what you do, I would probably do it, but I don't. So I find it fascinating what you do. I mean, all the people that do podcasts and that, I know it's a lot of work, but it also looks like a lot of fun, and I'm sure you enjoy doing it. And
this is 323. This is 323 shows that I've done.
Who knew?
Who exactly? I say that all the time. Who knew that it would? Who knew that I would even start one? Who knew that it would be 322 shows later, and I'm still doing it, and I'm still enjoying it. I look forward to it, and in fact, I enjoyed it so much that one day a week wasn't enough. I started doing a daily check-in, so now I do it 5 days a week. So,
and you're one of the top people doing it, and recognized for it.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. I really do. All right. Well, we're winding down on this, but we want to thank you so much for coming on. I mean, it's been way too long.
It has been.
We can't go this many years again. We're not going another 5 years.
No, we won't go another 5. Absolutely.
Definitely not. Maybe next time we have Robert on too.
Hey, now I'm sure he'd love to do it too. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I remember. The last time I saw Robert was at the Click conference, maybe going on 2 years ago. So it was good seeing him. It's good catching up with him. I mean, you guys have to be two of the favorite people in Broughton, okay? Because anytime I'm having a conversation with people that were with Broughton, 2 names come up: yours and then Robert's, okay? Because Robert, I mean, you're dealing with finance, that's some serious stuff, right? But Robert always made some humor, made things comfortable for you and made it where you can understand it and I've never seen him get upset over something that you miscoded or something like that. At least he didn't get mad at me. Now, I don't know what he did when he was on his way back to the office, but no, you guys were always even keeled, and that makes a huge difference. You know what I mean? I mean, a huge difference. Yeah, on how you respond to that, and how do you continue to work? Am I on pins and needles when I hear you're coming in? Because all that stuff matters, right? So no, we appreciate. I mean, I speak from not just me, but some of the people that work there. In fact, Dagmar told me to tell you hello.
Oh, Dagmar! Wow.
Yes.
What is she doing?
Me to tell you and Robert hello.
Wow.
Yes.
What is she doing?
I know she's married now. She lives in Orange County. But she still works in Burbank. I'm not sure she's doing something financial for a company that's based in Burbank. So, but she's remote for the most part, but I think she said 2 or 3 times a week she has to go in. So, because she called me the other day or texted me asking did I know any hotels that had some good rates because she was going to have to stay in the Burbank area for a while. And I looked, and before I responded back to her, she had reached out to Gabby. And she said, "Oh, Gabby's going to take care of me." I'm like, "Okay." And that's a name that I hadn't heard in a long time either.
There's a couple of names, yep.
Yes. So, so she's still around. So we text each other every now and then just to keep up with what's going on. But yeah. So Dagmara, Tina, Jessica, Rosie, Natalie. Yeah. So a couple of people that I still. Donna, I still keep in touch with. So yeah. Stefan, every now and then. When he's not too busy, when he's, but that's Stefan. But
I actually work with Stefan on one of our hotels. So
okay.
Springboard.
Yeah. Stefan's a good guy. He's a good guy. I enjoyed my time working with him too. He was funny. Stefan was funny. He's something else. But anyway, all right. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate the support you've given me. You and your wife. I appreciate you guys, the support you guys have given me. Jim told me before the show that he said he's watched at least 200 of these shows.
At least 200. Yeah.
And guess what I said? I said, well, I'm glad somebody has. But no, I really appreciate that. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate, the mentorship that you've given me, the opportunities that you gave me as well. And if you ever need any help, any of your hotels that you're, asset managing as far as, marketing or branding or any social media things like this, feel free to reach out to me and I'm here to help.
Yep. That's how networking works. That's what we do. That's why we do what we do. That's why you do what you do, right?
That's true. That's it.
You can never have enough friends in the hospitality business.
You are so true. So true. All right. You are so true. All right. Well, any parting words? I'll give you the floor as the last voice these people are going to hear.
Oh, no, just again, thanks for having me on the show, and everybody that's in, mostly hospitality people that listen to this show. Let's try to get back to where we were in the old days, where we practice true hospitality, right? And, we have to navigate all of the new technology and the new ways of the world. But at the end of the day, it's about shaking hands, meeting people face to face, and giving the people a positive experience and welcoming them into your properties. And that's how we're going to keep hospitality living for forever and ever. So all you old hospitality people, keep that true to your hearts. And the new hospitality people, you could learn a lot from the old hospitality people. So network and talk to them. You'll learn a lot.
Yes. I love it. All right. Well, thank you again, sir. We'll talk soon. We'll stay in touch.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
You guys have a great day. Thank you guys so much for joining this show number 322 of On Air with Russell, of 323 episode of On Air with Russell of Hotels. We want to thank Jim Sichta again with Wrigleyville Management for coming on. His email is down here, right here. So feel free to email him. He just said, if you're a friend of the show, go ahead. No problem. Even if he's watching a Bears game, he's still going to look at the email. So there you go. So anyway, until I guess tomorrow when I do the daily check-in, you guys